Obviously, a lot of interest over the historic changes here in South Florida. CBS 4's Gabby Fleischman continues our live team coverage. She is live in Little Havana, where a lot of people have a lot to say about this, Gabby.
That's right, Elliot. A lot of the Cuban Americans out here are very fired up. There are actually some police officers out here just to make sure that everything does stay under control. Now, some of the people I spoke with say that they're open to the change, but a majority of the people who came out here to protest say they think it's a big mistake and that the U.S. got duped by the Castro regime. Debates get heated and protesters get loud outside of Versailles Cafe in Little Havana. As the Cuban flag is raised at the re-established embassy in Washington, D.C. Monday's dual embassy reopenings mark the end of 54 years of hostilities between the U.S. and Cuba. Many Cuban Americans are outraged by President Obama's decision to restore full diplomatic relations with the communist country.
The Obama administration didn't take any concessions from the Cuban government. They're still political prisoners. There's no freedom in Cuba, and yet the United States is just turning its back on all those people.
Some believe the historic move won't bring change for people living under an oppressive Castro regime, especially when human rights violations continue on the island.
You know how many people die in Cuba every day? How many women they hit every day? Cuba would not change.
Supporters are embracing the new friendship and hope it will pressure Cuba to move towards democracy.
If putting the embassy in the island is going to move the country towards that direction, then yes, I'm all for it.
But even those with open minds remain skeptical. They say the embassies are just a symbolic step forward and believe there's still a long struggle ahead.
It's nice to see two enemies become friends. However, it's very sad to see that the voice of the Cuban people is not being heard by the governments.
So a lot of passionate arguments going on out here. The people I spoke with in favor of the embassy opening say they are giving this friendship with Cuba a chance, but that they won't believe in this change until they see it. We're live from Little Havana. Gabby Fleischman, CBS 4 News.
Gabby, thanks a lot. And politicians are also reacting to the embassy opening. Former governor and now presidential candidate Jeb Bush tweeted out this: Obama's rush to restore diplomatic relations with Cuba is wrong. This embassy will only serve to further legitimize repressive regime. That's from Jeb Bush. And stay with CBS 4 News for continuing coverage of the opening of embassies in Washington and Cuba. We'll bring you live coverage from D.C. throughout the day here on CBS 4. And CBS 4 News anchor Rick Folbaum will head to Cuba next month for the U.S. Embassy opening ceremony in Havana.